Hi, my name is Lenn Goldmann. I'm a watercolor artist. I've been painting in watercolors for over 30 years now. And I started out in college days painting with oil, and then acrylics became popular. And when I was in graduate school over in Italy, my professor said, well, Lenn, you got to do one painting a day outside in plein air for this studio class. And so I was introduced real quickly to watercolors and watercolor paper, and I did that. I did one painting outside every day for a semester, and that was the only way to do it, was in watercolor. So I was hooked, and I still am. And as time went on here, I needed a better way to frame my paintings. Of course, not everyone now, but and they still do frame with glass and mat board, and pay a lot of money to go to a frame shop and get a nice piece done. And gosh, I got to tell you, they look great. There's nothing like it, But I needed to move on. I needed something that was lighter, lightweight, and less expensive. So I came up with this method here, and of course you can tell it has no glass. It doesn't have any mat board, and it's a heck of a lot lighter. Now I have a couple little versions around the edge here. I have a simple version that has no, it doesn't have any white of the paper showing, where the watercolor goes right up to the edge of the frame. And I like this when you're doing your watercolor and you peel off the tape around the edge, you're showing the white of the 300-pound French arch. The subframe on the back So the stringers on the back are 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch deep white poplar also. And so this painting here is hot off the press. It's in its final state of being glued up with the frame on. So you can get a good idea what it looks like, and it's ready to lacquer. So I'm waiting for the glue to dry, and in a couple hours we'll lacquer the painting and also the frame with an acrylic base, water-based spray finish. So it mates really well with the water-based paint. Anyway, we're going to move on and talk about how to make these frames today, and we'll be right back with our first step. Talk to you soon. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to glue this arches paper to our plywood skin here. I'm going to take this warp out. This happens every once in a while, in that I've probably used a lot of water to get a water look. So I'm gonna iron it out. That's what I'm going to do. Our next step is to install these stretcher bars that I cut a little earlier. And they're going to sit like so at each one of these corners. And it's pretty much like stretching a canvas, except we don't need to. And I'm going to put these little offsets right here, which are going to be for the back of where the wire hangers are going to come across, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tight bond glue, and I'm going to take the bottom of this guy right here, and I'm going to come across right here, and I'm going to get the inside edge because that's where it butts to the top and the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glide the glue back and forth on this plywood substrate right here. I'm going to put a little more because I want to make sure that we get good coverage. It's not like we have any extreme weight or anything. I'm not really concerned about that. It's pretty much, I want to make sure that we're engineered really well. So got that guy on there, and he's starting to get a lot of friction. And I see that I started out with a long side, so I'm going to move this guy back, and I'm going to take this short side here and do the same. See if we can get going on this side right here. Actually, I'm going to do it on the back side so you can see what's going on a little better. So I'm going to move this guy forward. I'm going to glue the two ends again. And I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to just slip it back and forth. And it's almost like it creates a vacuum. I'll get my hand out of the way and see what's going on. And what's really going on is it's getting into the plywood. There we go. Yeah. And it gets to the point where you can hardly move it. It's kind of a interesting kind of set of physics where it really does create a vacuum. I'm going to try and be as neat as I can. I'm going to do the same thing with this shorty over here. Kind of snug it down into place, and it's tight already. You just take a look to see if that glue's on there, and it is. It's doing really well. Line them up. Line these guys up. And line these guys up. And kind of clean off some of the glue here. And move my nice painting out of the way. I pretty much use my fingers. You could use a cloth, but by doing it using my fingers, I can kind of feel where the edge is. And I'm, pretty much, I really need to have that line up next to the edge. So I'm going to use these two shims to be able to get it square with the world. This corner, make sure everything's down and square. Like that. Like that a lot. So I'm going to put one diagonally here, another one here. And I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to include the little standoffs underneath there so everything planes out. And I'm going to let that dry. So It's a nice day today. The temperature's probably, I don't know, 78, maybe 80. So the stretcher should be dry in probably 3 or 4 hours. So we'll come back and take a look then. Here we are with our finished product once again, almost finished product, and all we need to do now is to frame it. And what I want to do is I want the frame to stand off the painting on the front. So in other words, I want a little bit of an overhang in front here. So if I take this guy and this guy, I want a little bit, about a little less than 1/4 of an inch, so I got a little bit of a shadow box kind of a look. So in order to do that, I'm going to turn the painting upside down. I'm going to see how much, right side up. I'm going to see how much relief I need to get that. And it looks like I'm going to do that with these shims that I have in front of me on the table here. And I want something that's about like that. So I glued together a couple of these little pieces that I had to get the right height, or once again we'll call it standoff. So I'm going to flip it over, and I already put 2 of them on the back end here. And so what I do is I just tape these guys together. I want an edge that's square right here so that it's flush on this side and flush on this side. So I'm going to tape this guy together here so he's one piece. So now we're going to get down to business, and we're going to cut everything to fit really tight. I'm going to cut them first on the table saw here with this 45 jig that I made up. I'm going to run it through and get what I call as a rough 45, and then I'm going to come back and use the chop saw here and really get a fine cut. So bear with me because we're going to do a little bit of sawing. And first of all, we want to do some measuring. So I'm finding that this corner is pretty close here. This one's pretty tight, and I'm gonna make this, instead of a cut like that, I'm gonna give it a little bit of slack. I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna make the cut a little longer. So I always want to cut longer than shorter. So I think I cut that one pretty good. I'll just check it again. Boy, is that right on or what? So I'm going to take it. So I'm going to open this side up, roll it back a little bit. I'm going to open this side up. I'm going to lay that down. I'm going to lay it down like this so I know what corners are going to go where. And now I'm going to do some gluing. So the trick to this is that I don't want to glue up too high. This is the top, and this is the top here, you know, when we fold it back up. So I want to stay low so the glue doesn't spill out on front. So I'm going to purposely stay low and towards the center of our painting, or stretcher bars down here. So I'm going to do these 2 right through the middle here. And I'm going to put a little bit on here, not much, just so that it sticks on both sides. And I like using my fingers as a tool. Like that. Okay, that's great. So then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to kind of spread it out And I'm going to do the same right here. I'm going to spread it out. And this guy goes like this guy. Just like that. And this guy goes like this guy. Just like that. There we go. There we go. So we're there. Boy, those are nice tight mitered fits. I'm really happy with what we got. We're having a lot of good luck this go around. Okay, so we're going to spray the whole painting as well as the frame, and we're going to do that with an UV protected matte finish by Krylon. And I only use the matte finish for the last coat. The other coats that we used earlier on are gloss finish. That way we don't have a foggy appearance after using matte finish after matte finish. So I'm going to spray all around the edge. I had already sprayed the back side previously, so it's waterproof on the back side. And then I'm going to go in circles around and work my way from the bottom up to the top surface. I previously put a coat on the frame, and I sanded it down with 120 real fine sandpaper, so it's ready for a really smooth second coat. So I'm going to spray the inside edges here and pretty much make this painting monolithically waterproof, let's say. So you could hang it in a fraternity house and it'll be fine. I'm going to come around the edges here, be totally beer proof as well as waterproof. I'm going to work my way to the center here. Now it's going to finish as a matte surface in about 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm going to make sure that I have enough on there, and I'm doing it in the sunlight, so I have to kind of go around each edge and make sure that it's on there pretty even. And I feel pretty good about it. It looks pretty nice. I'll put a little bit more over here while it's still wet. You want to make sure that you don't get a ton of bubbles, and if you do, all you have to do is just blow on them and they'll pretty much disappear. It also being matte finish, luckily, it's not going to show any imperfections. It's looking really good. I think we're ready to go. We got a painting. Turned out really, really nice. I'm happy with it. So we'll give it 20 minutes to dry, and then we'll move on to our finish wiring on the back side. So now we're going to put the wire on the back side of the painting, and I have a method to do that the galleries like. So we're going to zoom in close here and take a look at some of the parts and pieces to accomplish our task here. So I really like these hangers, and for heavy duty paintings that are larger, in weight, we need 2 screw holes, and I figure each one handles about 15 pounds, so you can have a painting with glass, even though we don't do glass anymore, that weighs about 30 pounds. But I use these little ones here that are just single hole, and they're plenty stout enough for what we're going to do today. And then once we wrap our wire on the back side, the gallery really likes to cover that wrapping with this green heat shrink tubing, which you can buy at different tool stores, and it keeps you from getting your fingers scraped. And we'll show you how that works. We're gonna use some screws into the back end, and we're gonna soap the screws before we put them in, and it makes life a whole lot easier and smoother. They just go in real neat, especially when we're using hardwoods. And we're going to pre-tap the material first, and so we're going to do that here in a minute. I'm going to grab our tools, and we're going to use some pretty light wire. We're just going to use 15-pound wire for this project right here, and we need some wire snips. So put in a little tappet hole. And I'm going to do that on the other side also. Here's the other guy, and I'm going to do that right here. And then I'm going to take our screw that we put some soap on, and we're going to line everything up here. And we're going to use our power screwdriver, and then we're going to straighten them out so they kind of float free and the hinge works really well. Now I bring it through twice, that's one time, and then I'm going to bring it through a second time here, and then I'm going to roll it and at least give it 5 or 6 loops, and I'll make sure that they don't overlap each other. It's kind of like a noose in some respects. Okay, so I got 5 or 6. I'm going to cut off the excess now. And this is where the gallery people really like to have, when they're hanging the paintings on the wall, they like to have these this tubing installed on the back, and they slip right over here. And we're going to take a heat gun to that in a moment. And I always put 2 on so that I don't forget when I'm putting the second loop here. I don't have to remember to put the other one on the wire line. So I'm coming on around. And once again, I'm going to loop it about at least 5 or 6 times. Got all the wire in the world, so why not, you know? I'm gonna cut that. Now it's this little part right here that can get someone, so we want to be able to protect our gallery owners so they don't get mad at us for getting their fingers cut. So I'm going to take my heat gun here and move it over a little bit. I'm going to pull the tubing up tight next to our hinges. I'm going to blow some hot air. And you can see how the tubing heat shrinks. And it comes down tight onto the loop. And you can almost see the outline of the wiring through the tubing. I'm going to do it to the other side here. And see how it shrinks down tight. I think they're looking good. I'm going to give it a little loop right here in the middle. I try and put the wiring on as tight as I can. Just give yourself just a little bit of tautness to it. So now we have our wiring job completed, and we have these really nice bulletproof shrink wrap tubing on each side, and the galleries really like that. And on the front side here, we have our 21st century painting and our 21st century frame job. I want to thank you for checking us out today, and now you're professional artists as well as professional framers.